Hello. In this video, we're going to look at network categories and where you can find them in the utility network properties. Network categories are unique and they are assigned to specific asset type, asset group alignments and allow for certain types of functions to be processed on them. One of the most popular would be tracing. For example, you could set isolation barriers for specific types of tracing. So when looking for our network categories, the easiest place to find them would be we would go to our utility network object here, and we're going to go ahead and right click on properties. We're going to go to network properties down here, and we're simply going to go down here to categories. And you can see here that these are the assigned network categories for the water distribution utility network solution. We have subnetwork controller, subnetwork tap, and attribute substitution. These three are what we consider to be default. They are included with most solutions and most utility networks. And we have a few here that have been added, such as isolating, protective, disconnecting, and CP only. Now, these are assigned to specific areas, specific uh, objects in the network. Like, for example, you could see here that we have our asset groups, we have our flow valve, system valve. Let's go back to system valve again. And you can see here that we have our system valve and we have our system valve system. Now this has been assigned an isolating category. Now you can see we have other categories, such as subnetwork controller, which is a default category, which is used to control subnetworks. And then we have disconnecting and other ones as well. You can see here if we were to go to subnetwork controller, looks like we have a rectifier classified as CP only. And that is where you can find categories and how they're assigned to specific devices. So we have a system valve system here. One example of how to use a network category would be in a trace. So in this particular circumstance, we're going to go ahead and clear all our starting points. We're going to create a barrier, a starting point right here for our trace. Now, we are going to run a specialized trace called an isolation trace on this particular utility network right here. And isolation traces require a barrier. So we're going to go ahead and hit water, and our tier is going to be it's going to be pressure. And we're going to require a filter barrier for this particular trace. It's an isolation trace. And our filter barrier we're going to choose, well, you can choose, we're going to choose category, since we're going to be using a network category, and we're going to choose our specific network category of isolating. Now, if you remember, we saw that the system valve system is a isolating category. So we have our starting point right here, and we're going to go ahead and run this trace. And you can see here, it found the system valve system. And that is if I were to click here and select this object, this is in fact a isolating, this is a system valve system, which it is in fact an isolating object. Now, the reason it only found this valve here is because of the type of trace that was performed, and it was an isolation trace. Now, if we were to use the network categories in a different type of trace, we'll go back and we'll run a connected trace on this. But we're also going to add a filter barrier category isolation as well. And what this will do is it's going to, everything that's connected, it's going to stop right here, because you could see that the barrier was used, it was used as a barrier, isolated. The category was used as a barrier, so it stopped there. And you can see there's also a system valve down here, which is the same as the other one. So therefore, we used, in this particular example, we used the network category as a filter barrier on a connection trace. Now, there are different types of isolated. We could do, there are many different types. And in this example, if I were to choose a different one, it probably would not stop very few places. But I, in fact, know that these 2 points device objects here are, in fact, designated as a system valve system. So that is an example of what a network category is, how it is used in a trace, and where they are located. Thank you.